When you think of a country's capital, you probably think of just one, right? In South Africa, there are three. And that is just one of the many surprises in one of the most diverse countries on the planet. How can a single nation contain deserts, savannas, tropical forests, snow-capped mountains, and two ocean coastlines? Today, we are diving into the breathtaking geography of South Africa, and you'll see why it is often called a world in one country. Imagine a country bordered by oceanic coastlines on two sides, but whose interior is dominated by high plateaus, dramatic mountains, and fossil-filled deserts. This is South Africa, a living geography lesson in every sense. South Africa's landscape is shaped like an inverted basin. At the center lies the Great South African Plateau, with average elevations between 1,000 and 1,800 meters. This vast interior region is encircled by a steep natural wall known as the Great Escarpment, which divides the elevated interior from the lower coastal lands. The most striking segment of this escarpment is the Drakensberg Mountains, among the highest in southern Africa. Peaks here soar above 3,000 meters, including Thebana Intlanyana at 3,482 meters, the highest point not just in South Africa, but in all of sub-Saharan Africa. These mountains cradle deep valleys, cascading waterfalls, and even occasional snowfall in winter, a rare sight on the African continent. To the south and west of the plateau lies the vast Karoo Desert, a semi-arid region divided into the Little Karoo and the Great Karoo. Despite its dry and rugged appearance, the Karoo is a paradise for paleontologists. It holds thousands of fossils, including prehistoric reptiles that lived here over 250 million years ago, when Africa was part of the supercontinent Gondwana. Moving northwest toward the Namibian border, the land becomes even drier, merging into parts of the Kalahari Desert. Though often called a desert, the Kalahari is more accurately a semi-desert, with patches of grassland, and a surprising variety of wildlife, including antelope, lions, and the sand people, considered one of the world's oldest continuous cultures. Along the country's edges, the terrain shifts once more. The Atlantic coast is cooler and more arid due to the Benguela Current, with cliffs and sparse beaches. In contrast, the Indian Ocean coast, warmed by the Agulhas Current, is humid, featuring lush forested slopes and mangrove-lined estuaries. South Africa is also home to major rivers. The Orange River, which begins in Lesotho, flows westward across the dry interior before emptying into the Atlantic. In the northeast, the Limpopo River marks international borders and supports fertile agricultural zones. With such a rich and contrasting geography, including snow-capped mountains, fossil deserts, savannas, and coastal rainforests, it is no wonder South Africa is often called a world in one country. Few countries in the world possess such a strategic and at the same time peculiar its location as South Africa. Situated at the southernmost tip of the African continent, it not only lies between two oceans, but also features some of the most fascinating borders on Earth. South Africa shares land borders with 6 countries: Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Eswatini, formerly Swaziland, and, quite uniquely, it completely encloses a 7th country, Lesotho. That's right, the Kingdom of Lesotho is an enclave, a fully independent nation entirely surrounded by South African territory. This political geography creates a unique situation with constant logistical, economic, and diplomatic challenges between the two nations. To the east, South Africa is bordered by the Indian Ocean, and to the west, by the Atlantic Ocean. The symbolic meeting point of these two oceanic giants is Cape Agulhas, the true southern tip of Africa, not the more famous Cape of Good Hope. This dual coastline gives South Africa tremendous strategic value on global shipping routes, especially for trade between the eastern and western hemispheres. Domestically, South Africa also has a very unique political geography. It is one of the few countries in the world with 3 capital cities: Pretoria, executive capital; Cape Town, legislative capital; and Bloemfontein, judicial capital. This arrangement was established in the early 20th century as a political compromise to balance power among different regions and communities. During the apartheid regime, the government created artificial territories known as Bantustans, semi-independent homelands assigned to various black ethnic groups. Though these no longer exist politically, their legacy is still visible in patterns of urban development and regional inequality. Located in the southern hemisphere just below the Tropic of Capricorn, South Africa occupies a hybrid geographical position. It combines features of both tropical and temperate countries. Its proximity to major shipping lanes connecting Asia, Europe, and South America further strengthens its role as a regional power and global crossroads. In short, South Africa is a geographical intersection of oceans, cultures, climates, and histories. Its borders are not just lines on a map. They are living stories of connection, division, resilience, and transformation. South Africa is a true climatic mosaic. Its territory ranges from arid deserts to humid forests, encompassing subtropical zones, snowy mountains, and Mediterranean-like coastlines. This climate diversity is shaped by its latitude, its varied topography, and the influence of two contrasting ocean currents. In the north, subtropical and semi-arid climates dominate. Regions like Limpopo experience warm temperatures almost year-round, with wet summers and dry winters. As you move inward, especially into the Karoo and Kalahari regions, humidity drops sharply, giving way to semi-arid to arid conditions, with hot days, cold nights, and very little rainfall. In the far south near Cape Town, the climate changes dramatically. It's the only part of Africa with a true Mediterranean climate, hot, dry summers and cool, rainy winters. This makes the region ideal for vineyards and temperate agriculture, something rarely seen elsewhere on the continent. In the Drakensberg Mountains and along the Lesotho border, the climate is colder and wetter. Snowfall is common in the higher altitudes during winter, making it one of the few areas in Africa where snow occurs regularly. These snowcaps feed rivers that flow into the drier heartlands, supporting agriculture and ecosystems far downstream. From a maritime perspective, South Africa is influenced by two major ocean currents. The cold Benguela current from the South Atlantic cools the west coast and creates a dry, foggy climate. In contrast, the warm Agulhas current from the Indian Ocean heats the east coast and encourages heavy rainfall and lush vegetation. This east-west contrast is so stark that it shapes the landscape: barren beaches and dunes to the west, tropical forests and mangroves to the east. South Africa also faces extreme weather events. Prolonged droughts often hit the interior, affecting agriculture and water supply. Thunderstorms, hail, and even tornadoes can occur in certain areas. During El Niño years, rainfall patterns shift dramatically, worsening droughts in the west and causing floods in the east. This climatic complexity, while challenging, supports the country's extraordinary biodiversity. Entirely different ecosystems exist side by side: savannas, deserts, wetlands, and mountains. It's no wonder South Africa is considered one of the world's 17 megadiverse countries. South Africa's geography forms the backbone of its economic power. Mineral-rich mountains, fertile valleys, diverse climates, and a strategic position between two oceans make the country a regional powerhouse and one of the most industrialized nations on the African continent. Yet, this wealth is also mirrored by deep historical inequalities and development challenges. It all starts underground. South Africa is one of the world's top producers of gold, diamonds, platinum, and chromium. The famous Witwatersrand Basin, where the city of Johannesburg was founded, holds some of the richest gold deposits in history. This resource drove the country's industrial boom in the 20th century, attracting investment, expanding rail infrastructure, and accelerating urban growth. In addition to gold, South Africa leads globally in the production of platinum and manganese, which are crucial for high-tech industries and battery manufacturing. The country also extracts coal, iron, uranium, and natural gas. However, over-reliance on the mining sector leads to environmental degradation and social tensions, especially in communities located near mining operations. Above ground, the geography also supports strong agriculture. The Western Cape, with its Mediterranean climate, is ideal for wine, fruit, and flower production, much of which is exported to Europe and North America. In the subtropical Northeast, regions like Limpopo and KwaZulu-Natal grow sugarcane, bananas, citrus fruits, and maize. Livestock farming thrives in the drier Karoo region. South Africa's geographic position is another key advantage. With coastlines on both the Atlantic and Indian Oceans, the country hosts vital ports like Cape Town, Port Elizabeth, and especially Durban, one of Africa's busiest shipping hubs. These cities serve as logistical gateways linking the Southern Hemisphere to global trade routes. Tourism is also a growing pillar of the economy. The country's spectacular geography, safaris in Kruger National Park, mountain hikes in the Drakensberg, scenic drives like the Garden Route, plus beaches and nature reserves, attracts millions of visitors annually. This creates jobs and promotes conservation, although tourism remains concentrated in a few regions. Finally, one cannot discuss South Africa's economy without addressing the spatial inequalities inherited from apartheid. While some urban areas are modern and well-developed, others still face poverty, poor sanitation, and lack of infrastructure. Bridging this gap between wealth and territorial exclusion remains one of the country's greatest ongoing challenges. In South Africa, the geographic space is far from neutral. It carries memories, identities, and struggles that continue to shape daily life. With one of the most diverse populations on Earth, the country is home to extraordinary cultural richness, much of which is deeply tied to the land. South Africa officially recognizes 11 languages, reflecting the multitude of communities within its borders. Major ethnic groups include the Zulu, Xhosa, Sotho, Tswana, Venda, Tsonga, and Ndebele, along with white populations of European descent, British and Afrikaners, people of mixed ancestry, known as Coloreds, and South Africans of Indian origin. Each group has developed distinct relationships with the land through agricultural traditions, religious rituals, and vernacular architecture. The San and Khoikhoi peoples, regarded as the region's earliest inhabitants, lived for thousands of years as hunter-gatherers in the Kalahari Desert and semi-arid areas. Their rock art, preserved in caves and mountain cliffs such as the Drakensberg, is a cultural treasure, depicting scenes of hunting, ritual, and a spiritual connection to nature. This bond with geography is also evident in place names. Rivers, mountains, and cities bear indigenous, African, and colonial origins. For instance, Ukahlamba, the Zulu name for the Drakensberg Mountains, means barrier of spears. The name Johannesburg recalls the colonial era and the gold rush. During apartheid, geography was weaponized as a tool of segregation. Cities were divided by race, and millions were forcibly relocated to the outskirts or to so-called Bantustans. This spatial engineering gave rise to neighborhoods like Soweto, now a symbol of black cultural resistance, though still marked by urban inequality. Despite these wounds, South African culture is thriving. Music, from Mbaqanga and Kwaito to gospel and jazz, fills the streets and townships. Dance, clothing, and rituals blend tradition with modernity. And the philosophical concept of Ubuntu, I am because we are, emphasizes community and the idea that the individual exists in relationship with others and the land. Today, many groups strive to reconnect with their ancestral lands, demanding recognition and restitution. At the same time, urban spaces like Johannesburg and Cape Town have become multicultural mosaics where African, European, and Asian influences merge and evolve. In South Africa, culture and geography go hand in hand. To understand the country is to understand its people, and how each community has shaped the landscape into a reflection of its own story. South Africa's urban geography is as varied as its natural landscape. From modern cities that rose around gold mines to historic towns nestled in mountains or savannas, the country offers a true mosaic of urban and rural spaces, each with its own character. Let's begin with Johannesburg, the largest city in the country and one of the few major metropolises in the world not located on a river or coast. It grew after the discovery of gold in 1886, deep in the Witwatersrand Basin. What began as a mining camp became a sprawling megacity full of skyscrapers, financial districts, and stark contrasts between wealthy neighborhoods and marginalized townships. Today, it is South Africa's economic engine, though the spatial scars of apartheid remain visible. About 50 kilometers away lies Pretoria, the administrative capital. Known for its wide boulevards, embassies, universities, and government buildings, it's surrounded by hills and famous for its jacaranda trees, which turn the streets purple in spring. With a drier climate and calmer pace, Pretoria contrasts sharply with Johannesburg's fast-moving energy. Cape Town, at the southern tip, is perhaps the most iconic. With the majestic Table Mountain as its backdrop and the Atlantic Ocean at its feet, it boasts stunning natural beauty, colonial architecture, beaches, and a thriving cultural scene. Surrounding the city are the Cape Winelands, fertile valleys and mountains that form one of the most picturesque regions on the continent. On the east coast, Durban stands out as southern Africa's busiest port and a hub of Indian culture, a legacy of 19th-century migrant labor. With its tropical beaches and year-round warmth, Durban is both an industrial powerhouse and a beloved tourist destination. Beyond the cities, South Africa is home to breathtaking regions like the Garden Route, a coastal corridor between mountains and sea, dotted with cliffs, forests, and charming towns like Knysna and Plettenberg Bay. In the northeast, Kruger National Park is one of Africa's largest and offers visitors the chance to see the Big Five in the wild. The Orange and Limpopo river valleys also stand out. Besides serving as natural borders, they nourish farmlands, support rich biodiversity, and are home to traditional communities. In South Africa, every city and region tells a story. Some were shaped by natural resources, others by colonization or resistance. Together, they form a nation of vivid contrasts, where geography once again takes center stage. South Africa isn't just a country, it's almost a miniature continent. Its geographic contrasts reveal stories of resistance, diversity, and natural beauty. And now that you've discovered this country with 3 capitals, how about exploring more geographic curiosities? Check out our full playlist and travel the world with us.